Is that, can you hear me now? Okay, great. Sorry about that, everyone. Um, so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Sirius. Sorry, you can only see half my face. That'll be fixed in a second. Um, and I'm going to try to balance this presentation so that um, new people kind of understand a little bit about Sirius Dice, and retailers that have already stocking Sirius Dice can have a pretty good uh, look into the future of what we're trying to do and what we're doing now. So, just a little bit about us. Basically, we launched in January of 2019. It was founded by myself and my partner, Tina Trankler. We're both industry vets. I ran WizKids from 2006 to 2012. Tina was a VP at Watsky. She ran Magic. She did operations. She did pretty much everything there in the earlier days. And then she moved to WizKids and Tops, where she was head of finance and operations there. But we both got out of the industry for about 6 years. And then last year, we decided to kind of come back to it because we had such a great affinity towards it. Sorry, I just messed it up. So what we do is we make, source, and merchandise great dice. The thing that we try to do differently and try to set ourselves apart was our merchandising. And so the kind of the highlight of that is our display, which is a backlit display that really kind of features and promotes the dice in a very significant way. We have basically we're on our second iteration of the display. So this new iteration is an improved version for those who have the first version. It's not like significantly different, but it is. This one does have a couple of advantages. It's a little smaller, not that much smaller, but a little bit smaller. It has backlight at the bottom back row, which helps a little bit, and it also has a dimmer. Unfortunately, the display is so expensive, I can't just give out the displays to everybody who has the first one. But I do have extra dimmers, and if you want one, you can reach out to me, Lax at Sirius Dice, once I get them in a few weeks. But also, what I would say is a lot of our stores have two displays. So I don't know how many, but anecdotally, it almost feels like 30% of you have a second display because the first display worked. Now that doesn't work for everyone, given the size of some people's stores and the real estate. But it is something if you get a second one, I would ask that you use both of them if you could, just because I think it does help. The second thing, kind of on the merchandising front, is our tube. So we have this kind of hard acrylic tube that doesn't really scratch, or it's hard to scratch. It doesn't shatter. It's not soft. It has a twist off cap, and it's some people, some of the end users are using it as a carrying case. I get a lot of requests for, do I sell tubes? We don't sell the tubes separately. They're just for really our dice, but I do know that a lot of users are using them and they think it's good. But it also just merchandises the dice within your store very well. And then the third thing is that each set comes with a extra D20. That's basically for advantage, disadvantage, but it's also primarily to give the consumer one more reason to buy our product, for you one more reason to stock our product, and it's just an extra value add. Just some examples of our dice. So we have about 30 roughly SKUs now, actually about 35 SKUs of sets of seven dice. So they are uh, primarily they tend to look good in light, um, but not all of them. So we do have some opaques and translucents, and that's the translucents do work well with our display. The latest set that came out in March has the two on the left here are clubs and or hearts and clubs, and then we have a diamond and spades. But there are little clubs and there are little diamonds inside the die, so it has a really nice effect, and it looks good in light. Um, Many of you who've heard me talk about this have seen this before, but we did a survey, and out of about 80 respondents, um, almost nine, I mean, more than 9 out of 10 said that the display helped them sell our dice, and that it was worthwhile to carry our dice primarily because of the display. Not everyone has a display, but most do, and the display just works. The second thing, again, people have heard me say this, but the second thing that's of note is that our display not only increases sales of Sirius Dice, but it also increases sales of just dice generally in the store. And I didn't think of that when we first came out with this kind of idea, but it kind of makes sense because our display really brings attention to our dice. And if they're interested, if the consumer is interested in our dice, they're more likely to shop around. They may end up buying our dice, or they may end up buying another publisher's dice. I think either way is good, but 3/4 of the people almost think that the display does help sell dice generally in their store. Uh, so I wanted to just talk about a little bit about the impact of COVID within the stores. Sorry, I'm just going and that's only because you know generally speaking, the dice side, the category side of dice and dice accessories, I think have gotten hit harder during COVID than other categories. So just to give you some data, this was some of you have seen this before, but these were dice sales annually by store. Again, about 80 respondents, 80 retailers responded, and about 55% of them of retailers are selling roughly about 10,000 or less in dice sales annually, whether it be our dice or anybody else's dice. And generally speaking, again, broadly generalizing, about 2% to 5% of their annual sales were in dice. And that was pre-COVID, right? So, if you sell $100, you're selling about, anywhere between $2 to $5 of dice in your store. This is a little bit of a guess, but my guess is based on speaking with retailers and speaking with publishers, at least one specific publisher that has a significant market share, and also looking at the data that I get from distributors. I think that now the stores are primarily, not everybody's situation is different during this crazy time, but the I think that the category has basically probably dropped almost in half within stores, right? So now instead of selling $2 to $5 per $100 of sales, you may be selling only $1 to $3. Um, the reason for that, at least from what I understand and what I gather and what's intuitive, is one, dice is a very much of an impulse purchase. Um, and so, there's a lot of shopping, a lot of browsing being done. Now with COVID and with less kind of like in-store events, there's just less foot traffic generally. There's less browsing, and I think that has reduced the amount of sales, within a store, because not for the most part, with some exceptions, uh, people aren't going, they aren't going to the store specifically to buy dice. They're probably buying something else along with dice when they end up. So it's not a destination purchase. Um, However, like having said that, and even with the category down, generally speaking, I am, and the publishers that I've spoken with are, and some of the retailers are still optimistic about the category in general, and that it will get back to where it was. Part of that will be from just COVID kind of getting better and us being able to deal with it better and more store traffic. And I think part of it is simply because there's a lot of good product out there that's coming out, whether it be us or whether it be other publishers. And when you look at kind of like basically half quantitative, half qualitative, data that you see on Facebook and that you see on other markets for dice. The dice market still is very strong, and we just got to bring it back to stores. And I think some of the stores that are doing well with dice are, really in tune with their customer. They're checking to see when they're starting campaigns, even if those campaigns aren't being done within the store. And they're kind of getting out in front and getting and reminding the customer that, hey, if you're starting campaigns, come into our store, or we have new dice, check it out. But generally speaking, as I said, we're still pretty optimistic. I think publishers are generally still relatively optimistic, and I think you should be as well as a retailer. It's just a matter of time when it comes back. So having said that, I wanted to talk a little bit about new stuff that's coming out and new stuff that we're planning. I would love to, kind of hear about, kind of your thoughts about the stuff that is coming out and the stuff that we have planned. So you can reach out to me. I'll give you my contact info at the end of this again. But the first thing that's coming out is on the 20th. We have a glow in the dark set, two glow in the dark sets that are coming out. These are $10 MSRP, $9.99. And we have a third one that'll come out in a couple months. The good news is that the display charges the glow in the dark dice. So that's half the battle there in terms of merchandising. We have a solution for you to merchandise in the store that I'll get to in a little bit. But we think that the glow in the dark just works well with our brand. Obviously, other companies are doing it too, and they're doing it well. But we think we have, a reason why we should be doing it as well. Releasing in December, we have a few sets, 3 new sets that are coming out. So this is Star Spangled Banner, done after the election, but these are red, white, and blue with little stars that are inside, kind of suspended within the die. They look pretty sharp, and they will merchandise well in your store. For the Canadians out there, we also have a Maple Leaf set that's coming out. So this will be, a Maple Leaf flag with little maple leaves inside. And that'll be coming out in December as well. And then we have a rainbow green and yellow set that's coming out. It has actually like four colors in there. It's like a little bit of blue, a couple shades of green and yellow, and it looks really good in the display. So those are coming out in December. Then a lot of retailers have requested D6s and D8 packages, and so early next year we'll be coming out with something along these lines. So these are examples of D8s. This is a prototype, but we're going to add something to this set in the future that hopefully will put it, we'll make it even better. But it looks really good. It looks really good as is. We will also have a set of D6s that come out. This is one example. Actually, we'll have a few sets hopefully that'll come out in the first half of next year. This is a Fireball. So this is a 8 D6s in the tube. I haven't figured out the MSRP yet, but there's actually it really does look like a Fireball, and I think when users bring this out on the table, it's fun. The other thing that we have and that we're still working on for next year is a concept that's basically more of a cause-based sense. And so, the short description of this, I don't have any designs yet, but each set is designed around a cause. So it could be Black Lives Matter, it could be cancer, it could be the climate, etc. We're going to engage with industry influencers who have a real passion for that cause, and they're going to assist in helping us designing that set. Currently, we have 6 sets planned. We don't know exactly when they're going to release, but we kind of think that they're going to release monthly. And then any 20% of our revenue will be donated to a charity, that's specified. And that's something that we're pretty excited about, and something that, we want to engage with, the influencers and the community at large. And I think generally, these sets can do well. I think they'll be well received, based on some preliminary conversations that I've had, and we hope to make them pretty special. So that's the stuff that we have worked for next year. We have some other stuff too. Actually, one other thing that I would mention is I had talked earlier this year about a more expensive line coming out in at the end of this year, 2020. We actually paused that, and we're going to make it for next year. We don't know yet when. I think we're still kind of waiting. I think the actual situation with COVID and such is we want to make sure that stores are kind of back and healthy when we release it. But it's launching as a $50 MSRP line. These are not metal dice. But they're really good, really really good, and they obviously need to be if they're $50 MSRP. But I think that they'll do really well. We're still kind of working on some of the details, but they will. We will. Release those as we kind of get them and as we get closer. So stay in tune for that. So a few promotions that we have. So one is if you don't have a display or you want a second display, we have a bundle. It's the same kind of promotion that we ran during Gamma, but it's basically 38 tubes that have a $445 MSRP. That are approximately $200 from Alliance. And with that, you get the display. The second promotion is a first year anniversary bundle. And this is something that we're excited about. It's releasing on 10/20 so in 3 weeks, a little less than 3 weeks from today. This is really a thank you to our retailers, who have supported us. And we think we're in about 1,000 stores, maybe even more than that in the U.S. and North America, primarily, and the U.K. There's some other. We're in New Zealand, and we're in a couple of other countries as well. But primarily, most of it's in North America. And we didn't think that we would get this far this fast. So this is really a thank you to the retailers, because they've really kind of supported us from the start. So what comes in the anniversary bundle is 50 D20s. The D20s are there's a glow in the dark ink on the Sirius logo, which is on one of the panels. You'll get 50 of those in a bag, not a just a plastic bag, not a dice bag. And it'll come with 7 tubes that are from our first set. They're translucent and marble. They're $9 MSRP each, so that's a $63 value there. And then there's also a tray. So it's about $130, something like that, of value, MSRP, that you will get from the Alliance at $25. And yeah, somebody just asked me if you can get the display from other distributors. You absolutely can. Our distributors are Southern, Alliance, ACD, and GTS in the US, and Universal in Canada. So absolutely, they should have that promotion. If you have any problems, contact me, and I'll work it out. But so going back to the anniversary bundle, that's coming out 10/20. It's about $130 of value. You get it for $25 from Alliance or one of the other distributors. One of the options for you to run the program is, if you prefer, if you want, you can give the D20 away, or you can sell the D20. And if the customer lands on the panel, on the Sirius logo, they can get one of the tubes for free. We will support the no purchase necessary kind of contractual legalese on our website if you're concerned about that. really honestly, you don't really need to be concerned about no purchase necessary, but we'll have it there just in case, so that people can participate. But ultimately, you can do whatever you want with this bundle. This is yours, and anything that it does to help you support Sirius sales or your store sales generally is good to go. The other thing, probably should have put this in the other section, but we also have, as part of the bundle, we're including this laminated box that allows you to merchandise the glow-in-the-dark dice better. So basically, if the tube is, if the dice are charged via the display, you can just slide the tube inside, and you can look inside and see the glow in the dark. It doesn't replicate a completely dark atmosphere, but it's like 80% there. So it gives the consumer a pretty good handle of what the glow in the dark will look like. And hopefully that'll help with the sales of those dice. And after each use, you can just wipe it down because it is laminated. There's also a 5% discount on 5 of our more popular SKUs. So the green and blue set, the rainbow set, which is our #1 seller in units, not even dollars, but units. Tahitian Sunrise, and Poly Roller, and Emerald Waters. So that's available. I think all you have to do is order that through Alliance during the show, or tell your Alliance rep, and they'll apply that discount. I don't know if it's exactly 5% the way they do it, but basically, I think that's how it works. So last thing is, I would love for anybody to contact me at Lax@Sirius Dice with questions, concerns, suggestions, and I love learning from the retailers about what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. And then also we have a Sirius Dice retailer group. If you just do a search on Facebook, you can find us, and I'll approve you to join the board. And that's for me to communicate with you directly, but also for you to communicate with other retailers directly that support our line, and I learn a lot from you guys doing that. So that is the presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and just see if there's any questions that you have. Hold on 1 second. So, okay, so I got a couple of questions. Oh yeah, so one Sword in the Stone games mentioned that the extra D20 is something that they the customers really like. Yeah, I think I'm glad, and you know what? There's some things that we want to do in the future with the extra D20 that I think is going to be interesting. We're not there yet, but maybe by the end of next year we'll have that. So look out for that. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear about it. Somebody says they love the tubes. Yeah, so they said that they would actually, 2 people said that they would definitely be interested in buying tubes. I don't sell the tubes primarily because I don't like I don't want other dice in our tubes. But if you have like a special request or a special need, I would try to support that. We don't really have that many empty tubes in the U.S., but if there is, I can probably get some. So if there's any special needs, just let me know. We do not have any restrictions on online sales, store sales. You're welcome to sell the product in any way you see fit. I think our product is specifically designed for in-store sales. With the merchandising and the tubes and the display, and the extra D20. I think like visually it really works in store. But you can do it anyway. You can sell in any channel, whether it be a convention, whether it be online that you have. We opened up our online store during COVID. We were giving 50% of our sales to the retailer that the customer mentioned. We kind of stopped that recently, but that's something that we're also looking at too. So just throwing that out there as well. But you can sell anywhere. And I think that's probably it. Um, well, I want to thank you everybody for supporting us and even just attending this. Just that you had the interest to do that. I really appreciate it. Again, contact me if you have any questions. I would love to hear from you.